You guys know that I will always wait to review any new hearing aids until after I've received plenty of feedback from my patients about their real world experiences, rather than just feeding you the manufacturer lines. Well, the Oticon Intents are in, and I'm glad that I waited, because based on this review, you might just learn that these hearing aids are the right ones for you. On the other hand, you may learn that they're not. So let's dive straight in. So who am I and why should you believe me? Well, I happen to run the UK's largest independent audiology clinic with an 18-strong team of audiologists fitting hearing aids from every manufacturer out there. So if there's something to report back on with the Oticon Intents, you will 100% hear it in this video today. And now I've shared a little bit about myself, I want to know about you watching this video today. According to this YouTube poll, around 25% of you watching this channel wear Oticon hearing aids. So I'm also keen about you guys watching me now. Which make are your hearing aids? Drop me a note in the comments beneath today's video, so this can help me to tailor my videos to you going forwards. The Oticon Intents superseded the Oticon Reals, which I've fitted plenty of over the years, and with their leading features around automation, clarity, and background noise reduction, there is no question that they were Oticon's best hearing aids to date. However, I will say that they weren't a significant step up from Oticon's previous hearing aids, the Oticon Moors. In reality, there were only two real developments. Firstly, with the introduction of their wind and handling noise feature, and secondly, their sudden sound stabilizer, which were two positive features, but not really, in my opinion, worth upgrading your hearing aids for. And on top of that, I can't say that they've been flawless, as they had issues around reliability and Bluetooth connectivity for the entire time that they've been around. So, when I heard of the pending release of the Oticon Intents, I welcomed it with open arms. What's new then? So far, the Oticon Intent is available in a single model, the Mini Right R. Those of you with a keen eye will notice that this is the first time we've seen a redesign of Oticon's receiver and canal hearing aid for 3 generations now, going back to the Open S Mini Right R. So I welcome this fresh new look, which Oticon are boasting is their smallest ever rechargeable Bluetooth receiver and canal hearing aid. The new design is shorter than their previous models, which my patients have welcomed when discretion is important. But at the same time, it's also a fraction bulkier, so I've had a few patients mention them clashing with their glasses. Oticon's redesign includes a slightly tweaked angle on the top, which I'm told is for better comfort and fit. In the redesign, Oticon have also removed the rocker switch that they had on the Oticon Real, which I've got to be honest now, patients did like due to its flexibility. And they've replaced it with a single button on the back, which can be used to change the volume, switch programs, or answer phone calls. Now, whilst the buttons on hearing aids aren't as important as they used to be, because everything can be done on the app nowadays, there are still a lot of patients out there that like the flexibility of being able to use both the app and the hearing aids to make adjustments. So I personally don't think that this was a positive decision from Oticon. Plus, I've also noticed that you really need to make sure you press it accurately in the right spot, otherwise it doesn't always register the press. Back to the hearing aids, you'll also see here a development to the directional microphones. Here we have a rear-facing microphone, and here are the ports for the forward-facing microphones. In Oticon's previous tech, the microphone ports would often become blocked with dead skin and debris, reducing the effectiveness of the hearing aids. So this move will make maintenance far easier and result in less visits to your audiologist. There's no question of that. Finally, we have the receiver wire, which has also had a redesign, meaning that they'll sit a lot neater in your ear than the previous version. This wire feeds energy and information to the speaker, which sits inside your ear, and Oticon are boasting that the technology inside them has also been upgraded too, which I'll come on to later on in today's video. The only other physical thing to mention today are the different colours available, of which you can choose from these 9 options, including a new sky blue and honey beige colour. But Oticon have done away with the pink and olive green, which I have to say I've only fitted to a couple of ears, so I can understand perfectly why they've got rid of it. You'll notice that they're all matted nowadays, so they don't tend to catch the light, and the most popular colour that my patients choose in clinic is chroma beige. Now, I'm pretty sure that that's everything worth mentioning from a physical perspective. So let's do a deep dive on what's going on inside these hearing aids now. But before I do, very briefly, you'll be surprised to hear that 75% of people that watch my video haven't yet hit the subscribe button. So if I can ask a huge favor from you now, if you've ever enjoyed my videos, then please press the subscribe button. It helps me out way more than I can say, and it helps the channel to grow. And the bigger the channel gets, the better my videos will get. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of today's video. Of course, after that cheeky, shameless plug, it makes sense for me to start off by trying to find out if these hearing aids are suitable for you. They are currently available only in a receiver in canal style, which is unlikely to change anytime soon, as Oticon's in-the-ear hearing aids, the OWNs, weren't released all that long ago. The positive of them only being available in the RIC style is that they can be adapted physically depending on your degree of hearing loss. So they're technically suitable for a mild, moderate, severe, and profound hearing loss, and this is all done by switching the receiver. This image shows the different power of speakers that are available. So if your hearing loss falls within the grey shaded area, then they're technically suitable for you. Not only can the receiver be changed, but the hearing aids can also be customized for your hearing loss and anatomy by changing the tip on the end. And Oticon have a selection of medical grade silicone tips to choose from, ranging from open, closed, power domes, plus custom tips that are available too. One thing that I think is often overlooked is having a custom tip made for the end. And in my clinic, I tend to make them for as many hearing aids as possible. This small yet incredibly important part of the hearing aid can completely change the way that your hearing aid functions. So it is incredibly important to get it right. For example, it can affect both the clarity and sharpness that your hearing aid provides, how full and rich it sounds, how good it sounds when streaming sound from your phone, and most importantly, and this will resonate with all of you, how well it functions in background noise. In my opinion, it's easy to think that the tip is just about comfort, but it's way more important than most people realize. I think audiologists included. And it's really down to the expertise of your audiologist to recommend the most appropriate setup for you. I would personally encourage any of you watching this video today to ask your audiologist whether custom tips are appropriate for you when they're recommending the best setup for you and your hearing loss. Whilst I'm on the subject of receivers, I should also share Oticon's info on their recent upgrades. Oticon are boasting that they've improved their brand new receivers in 3 different ways. Firstly, in design. So they've changed the angle of the bend, as you can see here, when compared to the Oticon Real on the left and having the Intent on the right. Having seen them in plenty of ears now, I can say that they sit a lot better, following the contours of the little valley above the tragus and making them seem that little bit more discreet. Not that this was a huge issue before, but I'm happy with these marginal gains of improvement. Secondly, the receiver information is now stored on the receiver itself, which doesn't really help you, but it does mean in reality that it won't be possible to have a mismatch between what's in your ear and what the software thinks is in your ear, meaning that there's less room for error when it comes to hearing aid fittings with your audiologist. And then the third and the final improvement is that they're now self-calibrating, which Oticon are stating means that they now have an accuracy of +1 or -1 decibel. And apparently this should result in a 57% more accurate gain. I don't really know how to get excited about this, as I don't really understand it, to be honest. Oticon, can you help me out here? Are you telling us that your previous receivers weren't very accurate? Do you have any comparative figures versus your previous tech or other manufacturers? I would actually love to know more about this subject, but I can't find any information anywhere. The Oticon Intents are available in 4 different technology levels, the 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, with the former being the most advanced of the family. This would give you access to the greatest degree of clarity, noise reduction settings, and automation. In my opinion, it's worth going for the most advanced technology level that your budget can afford, as it will provide you with the best possible hearing. And most of my personal experience has been fitting the Intent ones. Oticon's battery updates are high up on their list of improvements, and I've got to be honest now, it wasn't something that I personally feel they needed to change. And I really think that they fixed a problem that didn't exist. You see, in recent developments, we've seen some advances from the likes of Signia, Widex, and Starkey with their rechargeability, with battery capacities increasing to over 30 hours now on a single charge. And whilst Oticon have made improvements to their rechargeability, they've taken a slightly different approach. By increasing the size of their lithium-ion battery to a size 13, a single charge will now only take 2 hours rather than the 3 that we've seen in previous technology. And if one day you fall asleep on the sofa and forget to put them on charge, the next morning you can supercharge them for 15 minutes and that will give you 4 hours of usage. Or if you can make it 30 minutes, they'll last for 8 hours, which is a nice improvement. Now, the downside of all of these improvements is that they do come at a cost. Firstly, Oticon have made the same mistake that Phonak did when they released their Lumity and Infinio family of hearing aids and have solely released the Intent as a rechargeable hearing aid, which, may I add, Phonak realised soon on with their Lumity, and then they brought out a disposable battery version afterwards. The second backward step is that with the Oticon Reels, it was possible to open up the battery door and switch out those lithium-ion batteries if there was ever an issue. And this could all be done by your audiologist in clinic rather than having to send the whole hearing aid back to Oticon HQ. Now, with a turnaround time of around 2 weeks for a repair, that's a long time for you to be without your hearing aid. And you know what? I loved Oticon for it, as they were the only manufacturer that allowed this previously. So Oticon, I hope your new claims of battery life are true so that you won't ever need to worry about switching out these batteries. Now, on another positive note, I'm also delighted to report that literally as I was writing this video script, Oticon released a smart charger for their Intent hearing aids, which is a portable charger storing 3 full days of battery life in the charger itself, so that your hearing aids can be charged on the go without you needing to always be plugged into a power source. This is great for if you go camping for the weekend or traveling somewhere that you may not have access to a power source. So you can keep your hearing aids stored in the case and they'll be constantly charging. So let's talk sound quality. Every couple of generations of hearing aids, not only do we see an update when it comes to the technology, but we also see a brand new chip. And with a new chip, we tend to see bigger technological developments. And on this occasion, with the Intents, it's not just a new hearing aid, but a brand new chip as well. The new chip is called Sirius, and all of the newer features are technically based on their previous chip, the Polaris R, but with 3 key features providing a better understanding of speech clarity in background noise. So let's run through them. The first new feature is an improvement of their deep neural network. And for a couple of generations now, Oticon have been boasting about the way that they use artificial intelligence to train their hearing aids to recognize the environment around you and accurately decide what you are most likely to want to be hearing. And this is all done by training the chip using 12 million different sound scenes. Well, in this new tech, they've taken their DNN one step further with their DNN 2.0, which has been trained using an even greater diversity of sound scenes and should enable an even greater accurate representation of what you want to hear, giving you better access to speech sounds, whichever listening environment that you're in. Under the DNN 2.0 is Oticon's More Sound Intelligence 3.0, which is Oticon's collection of noise reduction features, designed to make it easier for you to follow and engage in conversations in more complicated listening situations, such as groups, crowds, or noisy listening environments. Oticon state that your hearing aids will constantly scan your environment and then organize and deliver the most appropriate sound based on that training from the deep neural network, highlighting those sounds that will be of interest to you and reducing the sounds that you're less likely to want to hear. Now, Oticon's research shows that their new More Sound Intelligence 3.0 will allow up to a 12 decibel noise suppression, improving the signal to noise ratio and giving you access to 35% more speech cues, which should result in more clarity and distinction in general conversations. Now, this is my favorite new feature, as a lot of the improvement that we're seeing in the Intents is down to their new 4D sensor technology, which I have to say is pretty awesome. Oticon have finally joined the likes of Phonak, Signia, Starkey and ReSound and added motion sensors into their hearing aids, even though in all of their paraphernalia, they're claiming to be the first guys to do it. How do they get away with this? Oticon are stating that by monitoring both conversational activity, your head and your body movement, plus the environment around you, these hearing aids are the first in the world to recognize when your needs change and to adapt to the settings that they need according to your situation, improving speech comprehension by around 15% when this feature is enabled. In practice, this means that if you're in a restaurant, which is exactly where Oticon state that this 4D sensor technology would shine, depending on your scenario, this technology will react quite differently. For example, a waiter in a restaurant needs to hear sound coming from all directions as they take care of different tables, joining multiple conversations. Whereas if there was someone greeting customers entering the restaurant, their hearing aids would need to work differently, comparing that to someone sat at the table with multiple people. So 3 different scenarios in one location, all in a restaurant, but very different hearing needs. And the intent hearing aids will monitor your conversation, head and body movement, and the environmental noise and react accordingly. Now, most of my patients are reporting that yes, it works. However, there are 1 or 2 people stating that it really does only benefit them if they give a little bit of exaggeration of their head movements for those microphones to shift in the right direction. So now on to connectivity, which connectivity with Oticon was in significant need of an overhaul, as I have to be honest, and that's what I'm here for, whatever Oticon have done in their previous technology around Bluetooth connectivity and their companion app has not been great. Nowadays, Bluetooth is such a basic feature built into most hearing aids, with all hearing aid manufacturers allowing for the streaming of the likes of phone calls and media, the radio or podcasts, directly from your phone to your hearing aids. Now, I don't entirely know where Oticon went wrong with their previous technology, but they have had so many connectivity issues that for a while, I wasn't recommending Oticon hearing aids because of it, because it was giving me too many problems in clinic. And when I say problems, I mean the hearing aids not connecting to the phone at all, sometimes connecting to one side or the other, or sometimes not connecting to the app. But either which way, it was intermittent. And as a result, this has without question resulted in patients choosing sometimes also not to go ahead with Oticon hearing aids. So why am I telling you this? Because it doesn't matter, that was with older technology. They've completely overhauled their connectivity features, and they've done so in a few different ways. Firstly, with the introduction of LE audio. And if you're not familiar with this technology, then make sure you're sitting down, as this is something that is going to change the future of audio connectivity going forwards. And what I mean by that is in the future, you'll be able to walk into concert halls, conferences, train stations and lectures, and the sound of whoever's speaking will be sent directly to both of your hearing aids, all with the click of a button. Now, I happen to have heard on the grapevine that all hearing aid manufacturers are working together to get this installed in their hearing aids. And from today's video, everybody's got access to it. So we're talking ReSound, Signia, Phonak, and now Oticon, plus Starkey have just announced it in their new hearing aids coming out in the next couple of months. In my opinion, in the next few years, we'll start to see Auracast broadcasted audio replace the century-old loop systems that we've got built into public venues at the moment. And this will allow for multiple hearing aid users to simultaneously connect to audio in these public spaces, all with an improvement in both sound quality and significantly lower battery consumption. The only downside at the moment is that this will only be useful when venues start to install the transmitters. So I think it's going to be quite some time before we see this technology taking off, as in the latest update, I'd heard that there are 6 transmitters that have been installed globally. Now, from the feedback that I've had from patients, yes, we've seen an improvement in connectivity issues, which brings me no end of delight. However, there are still some similar issues out there with no real pattern to them. So I would love to hear your feedback in the comments beneath this video. If you're wearing Bluetooth hearing aids, let me know in the comments how your connectivity is, along with the model of hearing aid that you're wearing and the phone that you're using. Now, to highlight one downside with Oticon's Bluetooth versus some other manufacturers is that it's normal nowadays for us to have multiple technology devices in our lives, such as an iPad, laptop, and computer. And Oticon still haven't quite figured out how to seamlessly switch between these different devices. At the moment, in my opinion, it's a little clunky, and the only way that I've found that it works seamlessly is to turn off the Bluetooth on one device and turn it on the other, and then vice versa when you want to switch over. Now, of course, this isn't particularly convenient if you're browsing the web on your MacBook and then you have an incoming phone call. Until Auracast technology takes off, I am pleased to announce that the Intents still have a built-in telecoil, unlike a few of their competitors, which is essentially the 20th century version of LE audio, so allows for the streaming of sound in a public venue directly to both of your hearing aids, anywhere that you've seen this sign. And it can make a huge difference at the theatre, in church, etc., etc. So I'm pleased to announce that Oticon understands the time that it will take for Auracast technology to take off and have still provided you with the telecoil in the interim. And this also tells me that they're not expecting Auracast to be taking off anytime in the near future. If I were you, I would ignore the rating of this app in the App Store as it's pretty poor, but in my opinion, that's mainly down to their previous connectivity issues with the Oticon Real rather than the functioning of the app nowadays. In fact, there isn't much more that you could want from a hearing aid app. It's pretty intuitive and it allows you to change the programs and volume. You can also mute the microphones, change the bass, mids and treble for both streaming and environmental sounds, plus change your battery, find lost hearing aids using the Find My Hearing Aids feature, and you can even have remote appointments so you can have adjustments made to the settings on your hearing aids whilst you're at home and your audiologist is in clinic. So from my point of view, the app does everything that you would need it to do. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of today's video, Oticon have made a change to their physical controls, and in another first, they've also taken advantage of having motion sensors and introduced a tap control feature. Meaning that instead of having to fiddle around to press the button on the back of your hearing aids and get your phone out, you can now double tap your ear, to pick up or hang up your phone calls. In reality, it isn't a feature that everybody utilizes it, but those that do absolutely love it. I do, however, think that they've missed a trick here as they've only dipped their toe in the water, and I would have loved to have seen Oticon fully submerged. And what do I mean by that? Comparing the tap control feature to the likes of the Phonak family of hearing aids, theirs also allows you to stop or start phone calls or music and to activate Siri or Google Assist. So I do think that Oticon have missed an opportunity, but maybe this can be enhanced in the future with a firmware update. I will keep you posted if there are any changes on this front. When it comes to accessories, Oticon have been great at recognizing where hearing aid technology alone will struggle to overcome hearing challenges. And as a result, they have a wide range of accessories that will work with the Oticon Intents. For example, the Connect Clip and the Edge Mic, which are remote microphones and great for hands-free phone calls or hearing better at lectures or a distance. Their TV Adapter 3.0 allows for streaming of the television directly to both of your hearing aids. Their Remote Control 3.0, which is useful if you don't have a smartphone, and then the Phone Adapter 2.0, which allows you to stream your landline directly to your hearing aids too. Now, finally, in my opinion, you would be silly to make a decision on this hearing aid being right for you solely based on today's video. But if you're keen on knowing the best hearing aids available this year, then you have to check out this video comparing the latest tech.